Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to season a crucible for casting. Now when you buy most crucibles, they're unglazed, and if you try to melt metal in them without first glazing them with a layer of flux, the metal will stick. For pouring, I prefer the whip crucibles as they're lightweight, they heat quickly, and are easy to pour. They also come in a variety of sizes, so you can choose the one that's right for what you're pouring. I'm using a medium one. Make sure you have the right handle for the size that you're glazing. You also need some flux. I just use regular 20 Mule Team powdered borax from the laundry aisle of the grocery store. I usually put it in an old spice jar with some large holes in the shaker lid. I also stuck a little silica gel packet in there to keep it dry. It clumps up when it gets wet. Now, the glare coming off of the crucible while glazing not only makes it hard to see, but it's also harmful to your eyes. So make sure you're wearing eye protection. I wear shade 4 or higher. You can also wear didymium glasses. You'll need to preheat your crucible. I'm using a Smith little torch here, which is what I use for soldering as well, except I've swapped it out with a multi-orifice melting tip. I'm using oxypropane. Make sure that whatever multi-orifice melting tip you buy for your little torch, that you have the right one for your fuel gas. You do have to wait until the crucible is kind of warm before you start adding the flux. That first little sprinkle there was a little bit premature. If you sprinkle it in too soon, it'll just kind of fly off there. When it starts to stick, you know you're kind of in business. You can just start to sprinkle in some more. Borax will start to melt at around 1400 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's not until about 1800 to 2000 degrees that it really liquefies and starts to glaze the surface of the porcelain. That's also when it's at its best for fluxing your metal. Now, once I feel like I have a good coat started in the base of the crucible, which takes, a few sprinkles and a little bit of time, I'll reach in there with some tweezers and I'll start to turn it. You'll see that in just a second. Yeah, there we go. I want to be able to coat the walls, and I pay extra attention to that pouring spout because I don't want the metal to get stuck on the way out when I'm pouring it into the mold. Aside from the spout, I'm actually trying to avoid fluxing the lip. The whip crucibles come with a wire handle that wraps around that surface, and I don't want it to stick. That's also why I'm glazing this outside of the handle itself. I just switched to a special filter that lets you kind of see through the flame so that you can see that glazing process a little bit better. I'm going to keep turning and turning to create a thin, even coat all the way around. I want every surface to be glazed. But don't apply so much flux that it winds up pooling in the bottom. That excess flux will just wind up in my mold. And when I melt my metal, it can pour into the mold. It can either clog the mold or cause voids in my casting. So I don't want that. And that's it. When it's done, it should be shiny all around the bowl and spout. If you find that after you turn off your torch you missed a spot, just turn it back on, reheat, and add some more. You're also going to, of course, add a little sprinkle when you start to melt your metal each time. That's what it looks like. Now, it won't always look pristine white like that. You can probably also hear the glaze cooling, and that little tink-tink sound is the glaze cooling. Now, the image on the right here shows what it looks like after just one casting, and that's still totally fine to use. Don't panic. Don't forget to label your crucibles, as you don't want to mix your alloys. That's it. Happy casting!